Hi, my name's Amanda. I'm a coach and a trance channel, and welcome back to my series called Spirit School. This is a super fun series where every single week I invite forward the spirit guides to teach us something new. And the intention I set for this is that I just want to be intrigued. Teach me something that I've never heard of before, never thought of before, that will inspire me and intrigue me, spark my curiosity and wonder and just satisfy my desire, my thirst to explore the universe and everything inside of it. So the way this works is I close my eyes, I tune in with them, and I see what they want to share with us, and the message unravels from there. And before I get into it, I just want to extend the offer to you to share anything that you have had on your mind for some time that you want to learn more about, because we can turn it into an entire episode. So it's not just me asking them for certain things or them determining what we want to know, but I want to invite you into the conversation if there's something on your mind. Comment below or message me on social media at Amanda Lauren Blau on Instagram and TikTok, and you can share it anonymously so no one has to know that it's coming from you. But I would love to hear what you've been curious about and anything that you would like to learn more about, and we can explore it together with the spirit guides in a future episode. So, that being said, I'm going to close my eyes, I'm going to tune into them, and I'm going to see what they want to share with us today. Okay. So they're showing me an image of like nothingness. It's like vast, empty space, but it's like almost like a vacuum, like there's nothing inside of it. And they're zoning in on the creation of something specific. And they're focusing on this one singular thing inside of this expansive nothingness. And they're just kind of like, it looks like a little ball of light, and they're just kind of turning it around, as if to say, we're inspecting it. We're inspecting this like little ball of light that appeared inside of this vast, expansive black nothingness. And they're just showing us kind of like picking it up and holding it and being curious about it. And it's warm, it's light, and there's like it's energy in this kind of small little mm, like golf ball sized thing, spherical thing. And it's like electric and full of energy and potential. And they're just saying that as we hold it and as we're getting curious with it starts to expand, but not get bigger as a spherical entity, but it sort of begins, we begin to absorb its energy, and it's kind of like passing into us and instilling inside of us its light, its vibration, its warmth, and its electrical impulse. And then as it's absorbing into us, we take it on, and then we move forward from that interaction, embodying it, embodying whatever its essence was. It's now living inside of us. And everything that we do moving forward, everywhere we go moving forward, every interaction we have, experience we have, it is kind of experiencing it too through us. And we are feeling it there inside of us. Do I know where this is going? Okay. They're just saying, hold on, don't get ahead of it. Okay, where are you taking us with this? And now they're just showing this image, which I think is a metaphor for a ship. And it's kind of sailing across the ocean. And as the ship ports in a new space, people disembark and they move into this new area and they disseminate into this new space, and all of their ideas and ways of life and cultural backgrounds and experiences and languages are kind of infused into this new area as people come into interaction with them. As you're in conversation with new people, you talk to them and you hear their ideas and their perspectives, and their awareness now is presented to you, which you may not have had the frame of reference for before. And then you take that on and you speak to somebody else and you share that knowledge with them and that wisdom with them. And that's how these new ideas and perspectives and experiences kind of disseminate into new places. It's one person holds it inside of them and then spreads it. And then it kind of takes on a life of its own as it moves through this new population of people. Okay, what else? So they're just coming back to this ball of light at the beginning, and they're saying that that is kind of what's happening with source consciousness. It's this desire to share its light, to share its energy through those who come in contact with it, and it kind of spreads the awareness of what it is through through you, through your embodiment of it, through your unique blueprint of it. Okay, I think I know where this is going. Okay, what else? They're saying that you are source consciousness, um, because you desire to embody its essence. You hold on. Can you say this in a clearer way, please? Yes. Yeah, but when? How exactly did this happen? Like, what was the starting point of this? There was a desire for you to experience this reality as you, specifically as you. And that desire, that intention to experience this reality as you is what created you. And you carry a piece of source consciousness through you because that is what you are. You are an interpretation of source consciousness desiring to experience you in this way. And each and every single person is that in their own way. And that's what gives them their unique blueprint of source consciousness. They're saying source consciousness is not just like one thing. It's all things. It's an infinite number of things. It's everything and anything that is and also that's possible of being. And to say that there's just kind of like one way that source consciousness is just how we interpret um, some like godlike figure, because that is like the indoctrination that we carry within us from more religious texts' interpretation of what a higher deity would be, because we go through life seeing our own individuality and having an experience of separation and uniqueness. We projected that concept and that idea onto what we call God. And then that then extended into our interpretation of what we call source. But source isn't that. It is it is not like one specific idea. It is all of them and none of them and everything and anything beyond that and beyond our comprehension of that. And so they're saying that each and every time you come here in an incarnation, you are another interpretation of source desiring to experience itself in this unique way under these unique circumstances. And you move through life with this embodiment of this source consciousness inside you and your unique ideas and perspectives of it. And then you interact with other people and you share that unique perspective with them just by literally being who you are. Your blueprint of source consciousness is just you being you. It's not necessarily what you know, it's just your energy. And then they come in contact with you and experience your energy. And in doing so, kind of they're saying take on your unique blueprint that enmeshes with their own and creates a new awareness of something that they can interact with, absorb if they want to, or release if they don't. And so we're all sort of this unique interpretation of source consciousness, experiencing a reality that we perceive, interacting with one another, and taking on or releasing these different interpretations of ourselves and of source consciousness in the process. And what? And this is, they're saying, and this is life. This is reality. This is our experience of it in this space time. Okay. What else do you want us to know about this? Okay. I, the concepts that they're sharing with me are complex. So be patient with me as I try to interpret what they're saying. I just want to make sure I'm getting this right. So I'm going to repeat what I'm feeling is coming through and then seeing if I need to adjust as we go. So they're now showing this idea that we have of that when our souls leave our body, right? When our souls leave our physical body and go cross over onto the other side, whatever that means, that this idea of you, this version of you, this reality of you ends and then another one begins. And they're saying that's not true. That is your interpretation of what's true from your vantage point. So it's not that it's not true, it's just it's your interpretation of what's true. Your interpretation of what's true is true for you, and that's so valid. That's your truth. That's your reality. And they're saying that there are other truths and other realities that exist, and they want to share what those are with you in this moment because we're curious. That's what we're here for. And so they're showing that you are one version of you, and then there is another version of an idea of you that exists in another space and time and level of awareness, and you are experiencing it at the same time. Um, and so, ooh, this is going to be complicated. Can you break this down a little bit more for me, please? When you cross over onto the other side, that soul self, that version of you, that spirit entity is already there. It's already there, existing and watching you and experiencing reality as you're experiencing this one. But what? And they're saying that that's it. Okay, so my question now for you guys is, but we do experience an end here on this in this human life. So like, how does that come into play? Okay, they're saying they want to take you on a little bit of a journey to explain that. So keep an open mind is what they're saying. Okay, our mind's open. Can you explain like I understand what you're saying that there's the now moment. So when we die, and our spirit goes back into the spirit realm, technically we're experiencing that as we're experiencing this, but then we do have like a physical death of some kind. So this version of Amanda is going to end on some plane of existence. So can you explain that? Because I get the idea that you're saying that in some plane of existence, me, myself as Amanda never dies and it's like always existing in some way, but other people aren't experiencing that when I die and they're still here. So like how can you explain that? They're saying they are so okay, they're saying when you die, your existence lives on inside of their hearts. So you can't really say that you end because your memory lives on through them. You came here with source consciousness existing through you, and you interacted with them in some capacity, even if it wasn't physically direct in person. We are sharing energy right now. You are feeling my energy through me. And so after I die, there's an essence of myself that lingers and remains inside of the memory of your experience of me and what you took on from interacting with me. And they're saying in that capacity, there is no end. There's just a continuation in a different way. And that's how everything works. There is no beginning and there is no end. There's just a continuation in different forms. They're saying before you were born, you were an idea, you were a desire, you were an intention. And so you did exist in that way. Okay. But from our human perspective, guys, like we didn't exist physically and then we did and then we don't when we die. So can you explain that? They're saying there's nothing to be explained there. That's how you're experiencing this reality is with beginnings and endings. But what they're saying is that we have a limited frame of reference for how consciousness expands into itself in other what? Dimensions. And when you leave here, that's what you're experiencing is an expansion of your own awareness of what's possible. And then because of that, what's possible becomes what what is in reality. Okay. I'm having a hard time. My human mind is having a hard time with this. They're saying you're having a hard time with this because you're focusing on what you know versus what you feel. They warned me about this before we got into this episode that I would really need to be open for this conversation. Okay. They're saying physicality is just one way that you experience a sense of self. And oh, for this perspective, that is how you're perceiving life. Is that you enter it and then you exit it, and there's nothing before it and there's nothing after it in this plane. But what they're trying to show you, show me, show us is what? What are you trying to show us? There's like, how do I explain this image? There's a fluidity to reality, and we are so limited in what we have the awareness of. And so it's really difficult for us to perceive anything beyond it. We can feel it, but it's difficult for us to understand it beyond that because we didn't want to. We wanted to come here to experience this. So this version of you is experiencing this. And in order to be open to a different perspective, you have to be open to what? Feeling what's true. And what is that? What do you mean by feeling what's true? Feeling what exists around you and beyond you. You might not be able to see it or hear it, but if you can attune your sense of awareness, you can perceive it through sense. You can sense it. Um, always, they're saying. It's always around you, in you, around you, through you. Okay, what else do you want us to know about this? They're just showing you that it all exists inside of you. We kind of perceive it as existing out there, but they're saying that what? It's not necessarily out there. It's it's what? Can you help me understand? If it's not out there, what is it? They're saying it's like an essence that you experience like through. Okay. Anything else you want us to know about this? They're saying if you really want to understand how this all works, you have to be willing to slow down, slow your brainwave activity, and feel it. It's going to come as like a sensory perception because that's where it exists. It doesn't exist in a physical sense. It's so what we're used to because that's what works living inside a physical world. But they're saying that levels of consciousness, higher levels of consciousness, are not experienced that way. They're experienced through being inside of it. Um, what do you mean by being inside of it? Like living inside of it, awareness wise. And you can travel to them anytime you want to, they're saying. They're saying that the door isn't closed for you to experience those realities. The door is is wide open for you to perceive them. But you have to be willing to do it in the way that's required, which is sitting in stillness and learning to attune your senses to it. And it's going to require calming down your nervous system, calming down the thoughts, because all of those things um, get uncomfortable when we attempt to. Why? Why do we get uncomfortable when we attempt to? Because you sense an energy that is so big and it is so overwhelmingly loving and unifying and accepting that it's scary for us. It feels very intense to feel that, especially when we don't feel when we don't feel worthy of it, when we have shrunk ourselves so greatly inside of our own minds that we feel like less than it or unworthy of it, or we shouldn't be in its presence. And there's this like full breaking down of the ego that's required in order to let that energy in, that we kind of put a protective wall up against so that we can preserve what? Preserve what? Like preserve our hearts from it. And there's a part of you that feels or senses that if you were to go there and open up to it and let it in, that you wouldn't want to leave. You wouldn't want to come back here. And you're not ready to do that yet. There's a part of you that wants to be here. It's not ready to leave. And so if you can kind of shut it out and close yourself off from it, there's not going to be this like push pull, and this part of you that's going to constantly want to escape. And you can be fully grounded into this experience where you're desiring to be right now, where there's a big part of you that's desiring to be. There's also um there's like also a fear of like what is it going to mean and what am I going to have to do? There's like a lot of conditioned questions that come up, and they're all this is a protective mechanism that you have of like protecting your sense of identity inside of this reality from being broken down by those questions that letting in that energy would reflect and surface. Okay, is this was a interesting navigation. Is there something that you want to like say to tie this all together for us today? Since I might have taken us off course at some point with my questions. Okay, they're saying, no, I didn't take us off course with my questions. I brought up valid questions. Thank you. Okay, Annie, what do you want to say to tie this all together? This is just kind of a glimpse and a reminder that there's so much more to existence than what you currently know to be true. But they're saying that you have the capacity to open up to it and to perceive it if you want to. And it's up to you to, you have the key and it's up to you to put it through in the lock to open the door. But what's required in order to do that is to be uncomfortable in the process of it, which is going to require facing a lot of fear and and uncertainty and need to stay focused on this reality and this lifetime from a different part of you that's going to kind of fight back a little bit. But they're saying there's like a part of you that has already experienced this lifetime, that's already existing in another plane of consciousness that is here with you always and looking, watching, they're saying looking down at you, but there's what they mean by that is like observing you, watching you, um, and looking forward to being united with you in some other plane of awareness. And to take your time moving through this reality, that don't rush through it, like enjoy it, experience every second of it, like drink it all in because they are wanting you to, and you have the opportunity to, and you wouldn't want to waste that opportunity that you were granted, right? Even when it feels hard. They're saying that you can invite them in into your world anytime you want to. And when you do that, you're going to have to take the time to like sense their presence with you, but they can help guide you. Is this different from a higher self? Is this different from the higher self? They're saying that it's like all one and the same, that it is the higher self. They're saying the higher self is you. It's your remembering of the source consciousness that exists inside of you that you're carrying the blueprint of. And it's up to you to feel it there inside of you. And that is your reminder of it. And that is your what? That is your what? That is you. You are no different from your higher self. It's just kind of a word or term or idea that we've come up with to further divide our sense of selves into parts that we can identify with, that we don't identify as our highest self because we don't feel worthy or capable of believing that that is who we actually are, that we have to work towards something that we are not yet, and that is what dictates our reality, and that is how we perceive our own sense of worth. But your highest self is you when you remember like the light that exists inside of you. And when you can come back to that and feel that and embody that and move through life as that, then that's it. That's all that's required in order to access that wisdom that exists there that you haven't desired to let in yet. So ultimately, what they want to say today is that there's so many different layers of consciousness, and you are experiencing one of them in the way that you desire to, and you can experience more. You have the option to experience, they're saying all of them, any of them, whatever you want. It all comes down to how willing you are to allow you to believe in what's possible, and then giving yourself the permission to attune your ability to perceive it and to sense it by slowing down and facing the egoic desire not to, and allowing that to be okay too. Any last words? They're just saying take what resonates, leave what doesn't, but allow your imagination to wander because that is going to guide you to places that you've never been. And it's your playful, childlike curiosity that that makes them excited to share this experience with you, and they want to continue showing up to to guide you there if that's what you're wanting to. Cool. Another really interesting and challenging one for me. Um, Thank you so much for tuning in today for this Spirit School episode. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this. Please comment below if you have any, if you have any questions about any of this, that maybe we can dig into this a little bit deeper with knowing what you understood or what you still are curious about. Otherwise, I will see you next week for our next episode of Spirit School. Have a great week. Bye.